Okay, we're live. This is weird. Anyways, we have Volatile Gaming League Season 2, I believe Division 1 action here, between Volatile Gaming Insomniacs and Team Void, formerly known as Team Nocturnal, formerly known as something else. It's a mess. Insomniacs, formerly known as Reality Insomniacs, recently joined the Volatile Gaming organization, so that should be interesting to see how that sort of changes the dynamics. Hopefully but it's overall a very well-established team. A bit more aggressive. I don't know how they're going to do on Chalet, because I don't think this is a particularly strong map for them. On the opposite side, we have Team Void, relatively new. Not very new, but relatively speaking, they are new. Sort of the, young bucks of the scene. We'll have to see how it goes. I'm cautiously excited for this matchup. I think that it should be highly contested, if that makes sense. And then just talk quickly about the bans and about the map itself. Slightly, say, there's one strong defender site, which is this basement site. We'll see that later, most likely. Snowmobile and Wine Cellar. And then you have, usually teams will play Barn Gaming, not a great site, and then Office and Master, which I'm not a fan of. I just don't know if there's any other options, really.
10 seconds to insertion. 5 seconds to go. You can start worrying about grenades now. Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb. Ready to activate. ADS deployed and ready to go.
So, sorry, trying to multitask here. And then to address the bans, I do find it interesting, first of all, that we saw Team Void ban actually both the Hard Reach and Hard Reach Denial with the Cade and Thatcher ban. We'd usually see that spread across. So it's going to certainly make it a bit harder for the to keep walls closed, but also to get them open without that Thatcher. Maverick's probably going to be played a bit more. This is a map where we will see Flores sometimes, so I'm just waiting for that to show up. Though, obviously, the presence of that new secondary gadget, those sort of impact TMPs, is going to present another avenue for them to explore. Myth going to get the first blood for his team. Taking down Plex there, that... Alibi out. Entropy is going to get one, so pick off Myth, able to trade his team out, but the damage has been done. They have lost Super as well, so overall, it's just a bit of a loss on that. And they did waste some time, obviously. They've now burned about a minute as Gonki's going to get one. So able to sort of jam up this attack here. I think Zoe trying to do the thing. Or Zoli? I'm going to try and get these names right, my apologies. But with about half the round remaining, still having to push through this pretty strong hold here on this piano side. But obviously going to be weakened quite a bit now that they've gotten this mezzanine wall open into Office. The sideline, though, that's being held right now by Kulov is going to be probably a big factor. If he can manage to get something off of that safely, obviously it's going to be pretty risky for him to really play it. Zoli going to get one. Entropy gets a double kill now for his team. He'll keep it at even. About a minute left. Elite's trying to push forward now. He'll take down Zoli instead of just Gonki on site. Holding down the shield at Piano. Has a sightline onto that wall, so might be looking to potentially get a pick off of it. Yeah, he was really expecting that. Get on to push forward a bit. 1v2 here. Needs to try and isolate them. Get into 2 1v1s ideally. Brad going after Entropy now pushes right into the line of sight. Any of Elites gets a headshot. Looks for the second boss lead and shot right in the back from Entropy, who managed to barely salvage that round. Basically, the only reason that he won that is because the Jaeger was facing the wrong way, but that could have very quickly gone bad for them. It was sort of a risk, truly, for them, as it ultimately came down to the numbers game. The roam that went very awry quickly was what really ended up hurting them. Being put into that 4v3, essentially. I think the only reason that it wasn't a 5v3 is because one of the defenders, I think it was Gonki, ended up getting a pick in response to just try and keep it at only a 4v3, but being in that situation, being down like that, that's just not the way that you really want to open up a round, especially if those two players didn't get any kills and were unable to waste, you know, more than a minute combined, which I'd say that minute was mostly self-imposed. So I think that was sort of a fault on the side of Coolbob and the rest of Volatile Insomniacs. I'm going to be curious to see how they respond in this next round. They've brought a bit more of a flexible, maybe aggressive lineup. We are seeing this as Zami in play, so I'm going to be curious to see how that's used. It's an operator that is very much built around creativity. You know, she's as good as you make her, as good as you set up those zombies to make use of that utility. So I'll be curious to see how Super decides to utilize that. Because it's essentially just a more flexible castle. Obviously a slightly weaker castle as a result, but at the same time, I think that the depth of the similarities between the two is just that bulletproof aspect. And Gonki taking a bit of damage down, so he's trying to hold down the line here on that roam, trying to waste a bit of time possibly. Here's one on that rappel, I think that's Elites. They're trying to make a push happen here. Strangely enough, he's going to be the one on entry as Entropy picks off Gonki, removing that Thunderbird there. Able to continue the momentum possibly as they've already taken Solar Stairs, and it's only a minute in, less than. I think Plex might be looking for possibly a Nitro, certainly for some intel. He's trying to find some players on those Solar Stairs. Flops is going to get one. Super falls there. Elite's actually killed courtesy of Coolbob getting a double kill. Plex gets a Nitro from below. He's now going to try and rotate back up, I believe. So it's up to pretty much just Solely to try and hold down the line here for his team, accompanied by Coolbob actually, as Myth is going to get flanked, taken down by Plex. They did not see that pulse coming from below, and Flap's the last one left. Falls to the hands of Coolbob. That'll be the round here for Volatile Insomniacs. Going to move actually to 1-1, tying it up very quickly here. And sort of a trap laid almost by the defending team, and it worked perfectly. I mean, basically the entire push there from Team Void tried to go through a bottleneck, really. Tried to go through Solar Stairs, and they were unable to flush players out of Solar as a whole, so they couldn't really get themselves all the way up, and they hadn't done a roam clear, which if you're going to push Solar side, you at the very least need to clear out all the way through Dining, and obviously, you know, put an air jab or some sort of flank watch on that west main stairs, going down towards Trench and towards main garage. But they didn't do any of that. It was sort of a half-assed push, and because of that, they ended up just getting caught between a rock and a hard place, really. You know, they seemed unaware of that flank possibly coming from below. They lost a player to that Nitro, which shouldn't really be happening, because Pulse's Nitro is always delayed. So he's operating on intel that's a couple of seconds old. But still, I think that was the main problem for them. It's just that they ended up getting themselves caught in a perilous position.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb. Razor wire deployed. The base. Reload.
So I believe this is week 2 action, for anybody that's wondering. So you can see now it's a basement hold here, and this site, there's not a whole lot of complexity to it. You know, every once in a while we do see something a bit unique, something a bit new, but for the most part, it's just up to which team knows how to attack or defend it more. Knows how to attack or defend it better. Wow, we're so loud. I don't know if it's flaps, lips, flops, whatever, it doesn't matter, as he's going to be sort of an interesting position here as that Osa. Usually you'll see Osa used as just putting down the shields and then playing off of them, not really as using the shield itself to push and going to set up shop. Nitro going out though. And Elites falls. That's a big kill there for Coolbob, able to not only get first blood, but also to take out that primary hard breach. Gonna make it a lot harder and certainly slower to get these walls open. They do obviously have Entropy available, so he can still Maverick trick. He's gonna try and take down one. He'll pick off Flex for the headshot there. Looking for a second possibly. Spots that mute of Coolbob. Trying to take him down. He'll get it. A double kill from the Maverick now. Super will actually return fire, picking off Myth. So let's see. That's gonna sort of rotate a bit. Spots one. Trying to angle his way down the stairs. That's Zoli actually rolling around that Thunderbird. Gonna try and, I think, return to base at this point. As Entropy falls to the hands of Gonki, able to use that sightline against him here. The Kiba barrier is going to be very useful at this point. Actually gonna just, okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Zoli able to use that Nitro to pick off Lamps, and at this point, Shelky, the last one left. It's very quickly turned against the attacking team. They were off to a great start. I mean, they took Trench. They did lose that primary hard breach, but they got 2 picks off of a single sideline. I mean, they took down 2 really key players in Flex and Coolbob, and then they just lost every single gunfight afterwards. Gonki gonna TK Zoli? I don't really know why. And so after that, they just didn't win anything. Super gonna finish the round off, picks off Shelky, but, you know, just not good here. Is not looking great. Because after they got that those first 2 kills, it just hit a brick wall. They couldn't push through that single door. They didn't get any walls open. They hadn't tried to really stretch the defense by opening up. They looked like they tried to at one point. They tried to open up that snowmobile wall, which shouldn't have been very hard. You know, there's not a Cade. So all you have to do is really just remove any objects that are any utility that's on the floor, and there's no real way to impact trick. I've been in the right round instead of play today. Flips. That's Flips, okay. I wanted to make sure, because there's like 3 or 4 options that I could choose from. Thank you. Back on topic though, which is that they just played a very one-dimensional push, which was obviously not assisted by the fact that they lost Elites very early. And they didn't use, I believe it was Entropy as that Maverick. They used him more as a frag than as a support, which they should have once they lost the ace. You know, they needed to get a wall open. This is a map, and that's particularly a site on this map where you need to get a wall open. It could be the snowmobile garage wall, which they tried to get open. It seemed they set up a line in it, but they didn't map trick it. They didn't have Elites go throw a Selma on it or anything. It could be that wine cellar wall. It could be this wine cellar wall. Either of them, both of them, a combination of those 3 walls. Something. They need to get a wall open. Because if they don't, they're just funneling through a single door, and that's what happened, is that they tried to funnel through a single door, got themselves nitroed twice, they lost their primary hard breach, their secondary hard breach, sure, you got 2 kills, which is nice, but you kind of needed to get a wall open first, and they just hit a stone wall. There was nothing left in terms of support. They sort of lost the foundation, which ultimately ended up coming back to bite them. As Myth is going to take a bit of damage here, trying to clear out that roamer below, trying to clear out Zoli. Has those footprints that he's going to use to just continue to put pressure on him, but he's doing a good job here. He's lowered Myth severely, and he's also wasted a good amount of time. Finished off by Shelky, gets a fresh ping. Just able to fire right through that wall. Lasers him out. And, I mean, not a amazing roam, but still did waste about a minute's worth of time, and that's what you really got to ask for here. Elite's going to pick off Flex, and now it's a 5v3 very quickly, shutting off any further roaming here from Insomniacs. It's going to be basically up to Super, Coolbob, and Gonki on the site. Have to see how this mirror setup goes, which the majority of it is positioned seemingly above. They have that extension, which has been mainly ignored here by the attacking team. By Void, they've sort of circumvented it by just pushing from below, but it's going to now encounter some difficulty courtesy of Super playing up in mezzanine, downed by Elites. I think you just finish him off here. Yeah, I'm missing him, and he's going to try and burn a teeny bit more time here. Myth is going to just look to finish him off, take vertical control, it's just going to really push towards the end of the match. Entropy finishes, takes down Coolbomb, and so it's essentially a 4v1 here. Gonki on that Mira, with a silent through the entirety of sight, as Myth gets... oh, that's gotta suck. Elites dies off of trying to res him. I think just gonna finish him off. They're trying to, for sure. Now knows that one of them's on site. Don't know if he knows that Flips is as well, who's gonna spot him on that mirror. Elites finishes him off. So it's basically a 1v1 at this point. It's gonna just be a bleed out, and Gonki able to clutch up for his team. That's impressive work as the push there for Void self-destructs. Jeez. Oh, that's gotta be a bit embarrassing. I mean, it was essentially a 4v1. They circumvented, which was smart. They circumvented that extension above by clearing out the roam below, which I think was a risk for the defending team to do, was to have roamers, especially more than one, below. On a site where you usually are going to extend vertically, I don't think it's wise to have your resources spread that thin, your manpower spread that thin. But essentially, they lost those two players. They weren't really able to recover that man advantage. And then Super basically got traded out. He did waste some time on Mezzanine, but having lost those two roamers and then losing vertical should be the end of the round. And then they just fumble. I mean, Myth hits a frost map on a window that is in plain sight. Why do you not just shoot it? You know, just pushing the same sightline, the same doorway in essence. You have another guy going for this res without even really looking or anything. So just basically negligence, recklessness, carelessness, abandon. Whatever you want to refer to it as. That's what seemed to really cost them.
You can stop worrying about grenades now.
The keeper barrier is activated.
So now, it's an office and master hold, but strangely enough, there's 3 players on the roam. There's an extension here across the top floor, which I think is wise. You're gonna see if Super, he's been a real side of Team Void here when it comes to the roam and the extension plays that are being pulled out by VG Insomniacs. But I think it's risky to have so many players offside. I think they're scaling it back a bit as they're now gonna just try and hold down the line, and wondering how this attacking team's gonna respond possibly after being sideswept against and being put in this really ugly deficit at this point. They're gonna just try and now push, hopefully do fundamentals. They're gonna just push across the top floor, get that wall open, get the picks that they need by clearing out this roam. This very aggressive roam by Insomniacs, who are basically just pushing themselves forward a bit. Shelky takes down Super, so able to get an opening pick for his team, but as I was saying, Jolie gonna take a bit of damage now off of that mezzanine window there. So just really aggressive play from Insomniacs, what we're seeing, and it's so far not really paying off, but it's not as though Team Void has been able to punish the defending team for their aggression. It's more that they're just able to capitalize on little moments when they do push, when they do really put the momentum, pedal to the metal sort of thing. When they put the momentum in their favor, finally, is when will likely happen when they get this wall open, but until then, it's going to be a question of how. I mean, it's looking like it's just going to be just a rehash of that last round. Flex going to send out a Nitro. Don't know if it went through, it did not, so not able to get anything off of it. Could have been really bad for Elites if it had gone through, as they're going to just try and continue to keep the momentum moving, really. Try and move the chains. Entropy takes down one. Shelky gets another cool bomb picked off Myth, but alas, not enough to keep the man advantage in their favor. As with about 30 seconds left, just over, solely holding down Piano side, lowering Flips there as he tries to set down an Osa shield. Cool bomb picks off Entropy, gets a double kill for his team, trying to get something else now. They're going to continue to push forward. Shelky gets a third, looking for a fourth. He'll get it. The 4K from the gridlock, just steamrolling this defending team en route to a 3-2. And it seems as though this attacking team, it seems as though Team Void has managed to find a pulse again. They've sort of halted the momentum and halted what seemed to be a real sweep, which it was a sweep, but they've stopped the bleeding, sort of stymied the momentum of the defending team of Insomniacs, which is key, because when you're going against a team that just got a side sweep against you, which is not an easy feat on this map, on any map really, but it's just not an easy feat. It's got to be a big morale boost for that team that side sweeps, and then it's also a big momentum boost really for them. So you have to be able to respond to that, and very clearly the attacking team was able to do that. They were not phased. They didn't blink. They didn't flinch. They just quickly replied. They just, put the brakes on what seemed to be a real rally, and maybe a sort of a change in the pace and the shift in the tides of this game in favor of Insomniacs, and now they have put themselves back in contention. I mean, they could be looking at a 3-3 split at half, which I would say is not a situation, but before this round, it could have been as bad as a 1-5 split against them, which is basically insurmountable. So to finish talking about the bans very quickly, since I didn't really address the other two, I talked about the Cade ban, which I think is important to note because there's not a whole lot of hatches to worry about to cover, so I don't think he's as useful as he is on other maps such as maybe Oregon. But the other two bans, Finka is pretty sensible. Used to be stronger. Used to have, a frag grenade and a stronger weapon. That's that recoil change, and losing the frag certainly hurt her pick rate and her effectiveness. And next you're going to go out. I think all that did really was just damage Zoli. I don't think it even took out that Talon 8 there. Or no, I think it was actually a Nitro courtesy of Cool Bob. This seems to be just another snowmobile push from the attacking team from Void. Lips is going to get one, picking off Plex. I think they're going to try and get now this trench wall open here into Wine Cellar, but the mute jammers being set up there are going to make it a bit difficult now. I think, as you can see, Elite's sending out his other two Selmas. Don't know where the first one went exactly. I can't exactly tell. Hopefully it went to good use, though. They have yet to get any wall open on this side. Myth is going to pick off Zoli as they've moved to increase their lead to 5v3. Entropy going to take a teeny bit of damage. I think he's going to set up for some vertical play, though, as Entropy is going to send out some clusters here, try and wreak some havoc on the objective. Certainly going to move around this tag team. Gonki stops him from getting anything else. Myth trades him out, though. Double kill from the Yana now. As that wall, that breach just getting sealed up very quickly. Myth gets a third now. Super the last one left. Spotting one, taken down by Flips, however. As this attacking team, as Team Void roars back to life now. It secures for themselves a 3. Checking the scoreboard at half. 8-8-4-3-3-7-6-4-3-2. This has been a very frag-oriented game, or as I might wish to refer to it, a frag fest. And looking at the numbers, it's been so far pretty even between these two teams. It seems as though both teams have one or two standout players, and then the rest of the team is sort of providing that supporting cast, maybe contributing in other ways. But when it comes to purely the numbers, it's 23 for Team Void. I'm sure it was not looking that hot before these past two rounds, where they managed to really pick it up and get themselves back in contention. And then on the other side, if you look at inside, 25? Actually, no. 22. So it's basically dead heat between these two teams after 6 rounds.
10 seconds to insert. 5 seconds left before insertion.
Now again, these two teams going to go up to
Locate and defuse a bomb.
strangely enough, both of them sharing in common the fact that their primary site, their strongest site, is Esther and Office. Although Cool Mob and the rest of Insomniacs went 1-on-1 on this objective. We'll have to see if they're able to do it a bit better, possibly. If they're able to get... I think they're actually 2-on-1 on this site, I could be wrong. We'll see if they're able to get something moving here, if they're able to possibly do it a bit better. Certainly differently than the now attacking team. Super going to take down Myth for the first kill of the second half. And so far, it just seems to be a very standard hold and a standard push, it seems. And should be going to be able to get a quick double kill there. Picking off Cool Mob and Flex. Two key players. That roam clear gone, and that only hard reach, that main hard reach. There's not even a Maverick or anything in play now off the board. So they're going to be in a tough situation. Entropy falls to the hands of Zoli, but damage has been done. I mean, they're now dealing with a 3-on-3 situation. Able to recover from that, it seems. Shalky, however, taking down Zoli, so it's up to just Gonki and Super to try and clutch this round up. Gonki brings it back to even again. Two teams just seemingly trading blows in this round. Still not the best spot for the attacking team to be in. They don't have any walls open. They've lost their hard breach. They've lost that roam clear and Flex. They've lost Zoli, who had those frags, able to possibly clear out some utility that they want to get rid of. So it's up to base Limps and Elites here to burn half a round, essentially. Gonki able to finally move the chains, takes down Elite's gonna now try and push in, press the numbers game here. Might be trying to clear out Flips. Nitro goes out, I think trying to predict Flips pushing through there, or Super pushing through there, but Super just sits back, pulls to the long angle, gets the headshot, gets the round for his team. Going 4-3 now. Regaining the lead for the first time in a few rounds. Actually, no, regaining the lead off of that tie that we saw. So, an interesting first round for the second half. An interesting first defending round for Team Void. As they... I mean, they had a setup there. They were in a really good position. They had a man advantage. They had two really big picks there. They removed that primary hard reach, and then they just sort of sputtered. You know, they ended up giving up a bunch of 1v1s instead of playing the numbers game, instead of trying to get crossfires down and trying to really play that man advantage, looking for 2v1s, playing for time. Instead, they just gave a bunch of 1v1s to the attacking team, and ended up having to pay for it. You know, that's what happens, is that they can't really get anything else done. Ended up just sort of choking the man advantage. Now I'm going to go back to this top floor here, is Team Void. We'll have to see how they change their approach. It seems like they're going for mostly the same thing, but maybe some slight differences in how they play this. So last time they saw a solar push, it doesn't seem like they've done anything really to move that setup more to defend against a solar push. It just seems to be the same thing, and as the old saying doesn't go, if it ain't broke, do fix it. Or I suppose the more accurate way to say that is, if it is broke, don't fix it. I'm just confused here by this defending team, who seem to be a bit confused. They're doing well so far. They're holding their own, but we'll have to see if they're able to adapt here. They certainly haven't adapted how they're setting up and holding the site, but if they can deal with a bit of a change-up, per se, from the attacking team, from Insomniacs, is they're going to look to actually now push this mezzanine side, get that office wall open, possibly open up this wall here into office, and then just continue to push from there. Super will get the first pick here, takes down Myth, looking for a second, he'll get it onto Entropy now, looking for maybe a third here onto that Jaeger, stopped by Flips though, is traded out by Gonki, 2v4, Elites is down, and almost out, not sure when he's going to be confirmed, and Zoe Lee will finish him off. It's up to just Jelky. It's almost the entirety of VG Insomniacs. Here's one right next to him, that'll be the Ash there. Zoe swinging across, looking for that pick. Might actually try and go through the rotate, predicts it, takes him down, 1v3 now, as he'll be traded by Gonki, and that'll be the round. A double kill from the Osa to cap off a strong statement there from VG Insomniacs. I mean, Insomniacs just won on the same site 2 times in a row. Kind of to be expected when it's the same hold both times. Then they did a different push. Clearly they had... I'm sure that they knew that that was what they were going against. First round, they're getting their bearings still. They're trying to open up this second half, this their attacking half, trying to get something going right off the jump. They go against that hold. They go for, I would assume, what is their just normal push, really, which is onto that solar side, sort of going against the grain, really pushing against the side that is more heavily fortified, more heavily held. And they win it, but they do so with a small margin. Next round, they see the exact same thing. They see the exact same hole, the exact same site. Basically, nothing has changed. And they just flip it around. They flip their push.
5 seconds left before
They flipped over to that mezzanine side, and they were actually able to get something going.
attackers are heading out to defuse a
They basically just exploited a weakness. They found the gap, and they shot the gap, which was this mezzanine wall. They basically just pushed real hard on the piano, on office, as well as on this office door, which sort of helped get rid of a major obstacle, which would have been that Jaeger there, I believe, of Flips, holding down that desk in office. So basically, they just overloaded one side. Bit of a flood play, if you wanted to use a football reference. Solely falls to Shelky there for the opening pick. Able to hopefully control the pacing of this round now that they've gotten that first kill here, Team Void, but not 100% sure. But as I was saying, they basically just flip the side around, or their push arounds, to the side that is weaker, to the side that is less heavily fortified. They just sort of flooded that area, and they were able to bulldoze it, essentially. There was nothing stopping them.
Set the town line.
Super falls down as a myth, actually fixing off myth there, able to bring it back to even. They're going to know to get this push going, able to get this snowmobile, or actually main garage side push going into trench. They've gotten these walls open now, courtesy of that ace of cool bomb. He is picked off, however. Super able to get a second kill, this time on a Shelky. Myth dead, Shelky dead, cool bomb's out. Zonly was the first pick. So very quickly, these two teams are losing fragging power and losing utility. It's now going to really be up to these two teams and their supporting casts to get it done. Obviously, Anki and Super, two big weapons here for the attacking team for Volatile Gaming and Insomniacs. We'll have to see if they're able to keep the momentum going, able to get something moving here, as Flips takes down Gonki very quickly now, able to secure a man advantage for his team, and it's just a question of, can they hold on to it? Flex falls, and you'll be able to get that frag. So it's up to just Super. He's already gotten two. Gonna look for a third, possibly, as basically the remaining defenders of Team Void have reoriented themselves entirely to where he's at. I think he's trying to deal with those two shields there, which have essentially locked off this doorway, even with the walls being opened. Sends out his final smoke and try and now push pretty into basically traffic at this point. Takes down a lead, straight it up by Entropy. Didn't know that he was on the shield. I think he was trying to rely on that smoke covering him, but not long enough for him to really get a serious foothold and possibly look for a different gunfight, so ultimately just had to run into a 3-on-1 crossfire. And sure, he got one, but moving into any crossfire, regardless if it's 2 players, 3 players, 4, 5, you're not going to be able to get more than one.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs. Attackers have located a bomb.
We're prepared.
10 seconds left before insertion. 5 seconds to go. Attackers are
Now-
heading out to defuse a bomb. The attackers' bomb
Round 10
has
here.
been dropped.
And it's going to be a barn gaming hold for Team Void. We'll have to see how this goes. I find it intriguing that they've run this mirror, which we actually also saw from Insomniacs, but they've decided to put a mirror in the mezzanine side and orient it towards library. You know, teams traditionally will hold down library, then set up a hold outside of that. I think it's interesting that they're deciding to put this mirror outside, looking in. Maybe trying to avoid having to deal with those two windows that would essentially void most, if not all, of safe spots within library. But it's also a bit risky, as it's a bit easier, I'd say, to clear that out than a mirror in library. Golem going to take a bit of damage now. He's the hard breach here. He needs to stay alive for them, because they've ideally got to clear out this vertical hole, deal with that mirror above, and then at least put some pressure using that hatch and that vertical to move around those anchors on site, and then close the round out, get an execute down. They still have plenty of time, as it's about a minute elapsed. So I'm going to just open up this castle barricade there over on that blue side. Going to need to deal with the frost of entropy here. Going to deal with a bit of pressure now, losing those two ADSs covering him, so it's not going to be easy for them to clear out that shield. They do destroy it now. Entropy trying to lay down some suppressive fire. I think he's realized that it's going to be soon time to fall back. Zoli takes one. Entropy gets a nice headshot onto Zoli, trading him out for Shelky there. And now Super going to be able to pick off Entropy, continuing his just real wrath, reign of terror per se on the defending team. Continuing the top frag as he gets hit with a frost mat. Maybe I should not have said anything. Seems to be the caster's curse, and does end up biting him in the leg. But I don't. But it's a 4v3. There's just under a minute left. Myth is trying to get a pick here. He's going to just slowly inch his way back to site, it appears. Was looking for possibly a flank or something, but unable to get much done, as it's basically just out for the attacking team to close this round out. Myth able to take down Flex, brings it back to even now with about 30 seconds left. The situation is very quickly turned. Running low on time. Here is the attacking team. No man advantage anymore. Haven't cleared out that Mira. Haven't gotten any real pressure on the objective. Elites takes down Super. They're now basically just trying to push towards a mirror wall. A mirror window. I think the Myth might be looking for a flank possibly. He's just trying to move around the site. A bit of poetry in motion per se. Gonki gets two. Myth, however, responds with two of his own, and a round for his team now as they'll move to 5-5. Ties it back up. These teams have been seemingly exchanging 2-round rallies since almost the start of this game. If you look back to round 3, they've been doing that.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Reloading.
Let's see how this goes. This is too close. Maybe. I was predicting that it was going to be a close match. We'll have to see if they're able to get something done with it. They're able to get some momentum for themselves if either team is able to really get any sort of a lead here, but honestly, it's not looking great. You know,
Shield is up. Setting down my +1.
the attacking team has seemingly gone into a bit of a slump. The defending team has also seemingly gone into a bit of a slump. Actually, no, the defending team is popping off. They're looking to get a site sweep done, actually. We'll have to see if they can. They did just win basement and first floor, so they're essentially going from bottom up, and we'll have to see if they can flip upside down this attack here and get themselves onto match point, able to regain themselves a lead that they've been missing for the past few rounds.
Deploying.
So, again, top floor here. Going to be another push towards this piano side, towards this mezzanine area and office. It seems to be basically the same hole. Actually, it seems to be a tiny bit rotated more towards this piano side. They put down a shield there. They put down some alibis. Put down a shield to cover that Jaeger hold, which I think is going to be sort of the linchpin of the defense here. Entropy takes down Super, and Shelky will get one of his own on the flank. Actually, they didn't even cover that. Plex picks him off, but definitely gave them a scare, as there goes the 2 top frags of this attacking team. I mean, between the remaining 3 players, they combined for 15, which is just barely over what Gonki himself has. Flex takes down the Entropy. Double kill for the Ash there. Spots that castle of Elites, will get his own headshot. Looks for a second one. Kuman will trade him out. Now a 2v2 here. 1v2. Zoli takes down Flaps. He's going to look to try and close this round out. Myth in a 1v2 situation on the hot seat now, trying to get something going. Kuman looks for the plant. Nitro going out. Down Zoli. Kuman going to finish this plant now. I think waiting for him to get off of it. Waiting to find him. Spots him as Kuman will now rotate away. I think he hears Zoli down. Might just try and confirm that kill. Yep, Kuman now going to have to try and clutch this up. Essentially just needs to wait this out. He has a good long angle that he can hold. He needs to just play for time at this point. Use the intel that he's gotten to just continue to hold down the line, really. Myth needs to get moving. He has about 10 seconds, just over, before he needs to start a defuse. So I think realizing that, Kuman going to now inch forward a bit. Myth looks for it, just swinging across. Kuman able to save the round and dash the hopes of Team Void of a site sweep, pushing his team now to 6-5 into match point. So the attacking team just got themselves breathing room. They not only did they show that they are dominant on that site, and that Myth and the rest of Team Void need to avoid that site at all costs. If they do get to overtime, they need to just not go there at all. Not only did they show that, but also they showed that they can hold on to it. They've gotten themselves some breathing room here, which I think is key.
Attackers need to locate
You know,
and defuse as many bombs
they-
as they can.
They have themselves guaranteed match point. They have guaranteed overtime. Pardon me. And they've put themselves at match point. They have the opportunity to put this match away. They can leave it at 7-5. Or they fail here on a site where they got basically stonewalled. If they fail here, they move to overtime. Which, I don't know how that's going to go, because there's such a small margin of error in overtime. And neither of these teams seem to do well with a small margin of error, as both of them have seeded 2 to 3 round rallies, which would be enough to put a match away in overtime. So, I don't know. I think that it's important here that this defending team, Team Void, if they wish to put this away, that they, you know, really dial up the pressure. They need to keep these walls closed and capitalize and keep alive their shields. They, interestingly enough, don't have a second shield. Last time we saw a shield here back in the back of Cellar, and then also one close to blue, as Entropy able to take down Plex. Courtesy of that shield right by the blue door, as I was talking about it, able to get something done. The Twitch drone there, from Super going in, removing some utility, maybe opening up the door for them to get a wall open here, as there's not a whole lot of utility for them to spread around to use to keep these walls closed. I mean, Elite's only has 3 batteries, which isn't even enough to cover all of the walls. So he's having to actually rotate around utility to cover some of these cellar walls. Zoli will take down Shelky, so now brings it back to even here. Removing one of those, second frag actually, with 10 kills. But Entropy's still going to be on the board, still able to really terrorize this attacking team. Lowering one, Elites will fall in the hands of Super here. I think stopping a possible flank. Yeah, that's certainly what Shelky was trying to do. I don't know what about the bandit was actually on site there. Elites was on site. Super falls in the hands of Flips, who's going to now be a really key player in this round. He's basically going to deny this wall, which is already closed. He'll pick off Coolon with a headshot there. Zoli falls. It looks like we might be at overtime. Myth taking out Zoli. It's up to just Gonky. 1v3. A minute left. Basically the same situation that we saw Super in last round, a few rounds ago. Same side and everything. It's going to be very difficult for him to win this. Trying to push up against that shield set up by Entropy. And it just seems like they don't know how to attack this site. They need to put pressure on blue. I think that that's their way of winning this one. They need to put pressure on the blue side. Instead, they're just pushing right into the shield, right into the walls, right into the bandits. Donkey takes down Entropy, flips right on the floor. Takes him out. Just caught him sort of unaware and able to salvage this, their hopes, as they'll now move to overtime. So, after regulation, checking the scoreboard, 15-10, 9-9-5, 13-14, 8-8-4. So, at the moment, it seems like this differential has tilted towards the now defending team, towards Team Void. Congrats to Entropy, Shelky, Super, and Gonky all on hitting double digits.
Attackers need to locate and
But
defuse
Myth and Flips both on the cusp of doing the same. You know, they're look over at them and they're just 1 kill away, which is very achievable in these final rounds. It's coming down to the margins here. It'll be important for them, for the attacking team, if they're going to the site, to try and vary it. Because we've seen basically the same strategy these past 3 rounds. I think the only difference is maybe that we're now seeing a Mozzie, and that, actually enough, the Vigil is new here. Trying to really lessen the impact of those drones that we see being used so extensively by the attacking team, by Insomniacs. You know, Myth is out here with that Mozzie. He's going to try and get something done here. I think he's... yeah, spotted a drone right around there. So he's just gonna wait for that to maybe appear. Still though, I mean, the attacking team, if they want to win this round, they need to vary their push. They've been doing the same push every single round. In comparison on top floor, which admittedly is a different site, it's less well established than this site, which everybody knows how to attack, everybody knows how to defend. You know, on this site, they need to vary their push, because they've been doing mode, which is specifically designed to stop that push. And it's resulted in the same result every single time, which is to be expected. That's how it goes when you do the same thing over and over. Entropy takes down Flex. That could be a bad sign here for this attacking team. Losing that Sophia with those 2 lifeline charges is going to make it a bit harder now to get rid of the shields. That Entropy shield particularly going to be important for them to clear, but now might be a bit harder. They do still admittedly have the frags of Zoli, but can have to work around any possible ADSs covering it, and there is one covering it, so they'll probably have to burn that or destroy with a Twitch drone, as they're now opening up this wall again. Nitro goes out courtesy of Elites, trying to get something done, but unable to get really anything off of that. Certainly did give somebody a scare, though. Glue off one on the shield, the other one being set up there by Yeah, Osa there of Donkey. Zoli takes down one, picking off Myth, is able to possibly clear this sort of long angle. That's Boulevard. Turn to clear. If they can basically just leave that empty, they can force players to not play in that, then that's gonna be ideal. But at the moment, they're just going to have to really be careful about that, considering that there's the Osa shield there. Flip's going to take a bit of damage now as he's trying to hold down the line. He's been a key player for their defense for that anchoring side. Elites will take down one, able to secure a man advantage for his team now. Entropy will get another. Zoli gets a double kill as they'll return to 3v2. Getting a 2v2 now. Super will get a double kill, I believe. Zoli looking for the plant now as they're on site. They've managed to get themselves onto the objective. Super picked off courtesy of Shelky. Zoli sticks the plant. Now getting crossfire there. Flips and Shelky just both swing that last player, able to basically just play the numbers game. And then again, ultimately, the team with the more players wins. They're able to just trade each other out and play that. Play the numbers game. Play the man advantage that they have. You know, it looked better there for Insomniacs, but not good enough to win. Better isn't good enough to win. And now they're on defense, which neither team was better on a specific side, but try and clutch up this round and clutch up this game, possibly. They don't have a whole lot of breathing room. If they lose it, which this is the first time in this match that they've been in this situation, if they lose it, they go home. If they win it, then we see one final round. We see sudden death. But in order for that to happen, they have to win this. And it's not gonna be easy. They've seemed like an alright team on this site. I do believe that they're 1-on-1 on this objective.
Bomb located by attackers.
Strangely enough, they're 1-0 on Barn Gaming, so I find it interesting that they're not going there again. Maybe they just don't think that it's wise when they are in the situation, when they're at match point, to go to a tertiary site for them. That'd be my guess why. So, pretty similar to what we saw actually from the now attacking team from Team Void. Kind of interesting that Super here running that Asami going to try and provide a bit more flexibility to instead of the shields that we saw from Entropy and I think from Flips as well at times. You know, that shield mainly by Blue. There's also one towards the back of Wine Cellar. So we'd actually see one physical shield brought by Gonki. That Smoke going to be a pretty key player here. If he stays alive, I think that's going to be a big benefit and a big question here for this defending team. Is can they keep the Smoke alive long enough for him to impactfully get those smokes down? It's going to be a snowmobile side push. The first time that we've seen it in this whole game from either team. So I think Flips and the rest of Void realizing that desperate times call for desperate measures, as they're going to now try and keep their momentum going, keep the party alive, close this match out ideally. Osa's shield going to allow them to more safely hold that down, as the zombie barrier and the smoke grenade, courtesy of Donkey, a canister, stopping the push for the time being. About a minute has elapsed here. They've gotten the wall open. It wasn't very difficult for them to open up. So just going to try and continue to pressure it, as I don't think it was really expected here by this attacking team. Shelky able to get one look for a second, possibly. He's going to just put a lot of pressure here on the side of the site. It's been sort of a spread out push actually from the attacking team. Entropy falls down as a cool mob now, trying to get something done as the mute is on the roam. Okay. The push here from Void is sort of concentrated around the single wall. And the smoke of Gonki, using his final smoke without a minute left, I would say that that's ill-advised, but still able to deny a good amount of time from this push, able to really keep them away from that wall, keep them from trying to move through that, which is certainly enabling them to just try and rotate maybe some utility, certainly giving them more time to work with. Shelky takes down Kubob and gets his team back into the positive in terms of a man advantage, or maybe a man disadvantage. But certainly operating at a disadvantage, and having had to deal with that for most of this game is this defending team, is Insomniacs. Can they overcome it, though, when they're playing for all the marbles? Does not seem so. Shelky with a third, Myth will get one. Now it's that they're just gonky here. Dimas, he'll try and push forward now. And as that plant goes down, Flips closes it out, 8-6 for Team Void, 17-12. Very impressive from Entropy. Shelky 14-10, Myth 10-10, Flips 11-8. 4 out of their 5 players in double digits, as it'll be 6-11, 14-12, 14-10, 9-11, 10-13, and 4-12 for the remaining players. Valiant effort from Insomniacs. Unfortunately, not enough to beat Team Void.
Some fucking pussies.
Oh,
I mean, it's really easy to leave when you just hit escape, right?